I'm telling you guys, you need to stop scooping your mids out of your distorted guitars. Here's why. When you're first learning to mix, you do a lot of EQing in solo. That's completely fine if you're just trying to get a tone set up, but that's not a good way to figure out how to make the guitars mesh with your song. You'll be in solo and you're just swooping around with your EQ and you're like, oh yeah, that sounds muddy. Let's get rid of 30 dB out of the guitars in the mid-range. And while that will certainly get rid of any mud, you punch a huge hole in the guitars, and what ends up happening is you lose your mix translation. So I'm going to show you what the majority of people are doing wrong when they're trying to mix their heavy guitars and why their mixes sound like crap anytime they play it back on a smaller speaker system. So in this video today, I'm going to show you exactly how I go about getting the right balance of mid-range in guitars without them getting muddy. And if you need a little bit of help trying to figure out what frequencies to cut or boost, or just help with mixing in general, in the description I have a link to download my free rock and metal mixing cheat sheet. It has all of my go-to starting moves in that cheat sheet, so go and grab that. That is completely free, and it's my gift to you. All right, here's a track by a band called Once Around. This song's called Love and War.
Staring out your basement window and it's quite familiar.
This is a song I had the pleasure of mixing. Hopefully there'll be more music from these guys here in the near future. But let's take a look at the guitars. This is a slow, powerful, big rock ballad. You do not want muddy guitars here. So let's take a listen to what the guitar tone sounds like. Sounds pretty good, right? If we were to go and throw, let's say, an EQ on our guitar bus, and let's go fishing and see if we find any muddy frequencies. Oh man, listen to that. That's just muddy and boomy. What I see a lot of people doing and a lot of tutorials online doing as well, which I don't agree with, is they'll come in, find that, and just nuke it. Okay, and they'll go and take another EQ node and be like, all right, let's find some more mud. Here we go. Like, no one likes that. We got to get rid of the cabinet resonance, so let's put a low shelf there. And now we have a tone that sounds like this. And you might actually convince yourself like that sounds good, right? It's super clean now. There's no more mud. If we bypass the EQ, you might think, wow, that's so muddy. I can't believe we let that just stay in the mix, right? What's happening right now is your ears are losing perspective for what the mix needs. In the short amount of time that we put the guitars in solo and started sweeping around in the guitars and then made these cuts, we forgot what the guitar sounded like in the music, okay? What the music needed, what the song needed, okay? What we're doing here is we're crippling our guitar tone so that it won't hold up on smaller speakers. In fact, it's not gonna hold up much at all. It's gonna just disappear in the mix now because the voice of the guitar lives in this mid-range. And we just got rid of all of it. We're just leaving some scratchy noises and static. And in that little rant I had, you probably noticed that it sounded like we're actually scooping a lot out now. This is the problem with listening in solo and trying to find mud. Let's go back to the song and listen to it in context now when we have this EQ engaged.
I see you staring out your basement window and it's quite familiar all the same. But I don't know what to do with you, don't know how to spill the truth. You are all in my...
When we start the song with the EQ on, right, with the really, really scooped guitar tone, and then bypass it, it's like shock value, right? We're like, oh, it's way too muddy because we've already become accustomed to the sound of a scooped guitar tone. But what I want you to notice is how loud those guitars are in the mix. If we make these few little EQ moves in the mid-range, we lose the ability to hear the guitar. The guitar also feels like there's a big hole punched in it, okay? Feels like the middle of the mix is now hollow and the guitars have been pushed way to the side, but there's nothing connecting the guitars to the song anymore.
Basement window and it's quite familiar all the same. But I don't know what to do with you. Don't know how to spill it.
When we leave those mids in, what happens is it like connects the guitars and the bass together. We get a cohesive vision of the band and it feels like a song. When you make these cuts, and I see it all the time on YouTube, everything sounds good in solo and then nothing sounds like connected and good and alive when it's all playing back together. So to help you really hear this, let's mute the vocals because our ears naturally want to listen to vocals. So now, when we just have the guitars, bass, and drums in, listen to what it sounds like when we put this EQ on and off and what happens to the guitar and how the mix feels very disconnected when we get rid of all these mid frequencies, okay? We'll start with it bypassed. Right? It's crazy how broken the mix feels with these EQ cuts in the mid-range. And as a good gut check, this is where referencing comes in handy, okay? So load up one of your favorite songs that you know sounds killer anywhere, right? So I'm just gonna play some quick small little bites of songs, and I want you just to listen to the low end of these songs, and you'll notice compared to what we have, if we do those EQ cuts, it's going to sound super empty and hollow compared to our references. Okay, let's start with the cuts in. You see how tonally it matches better with our references when we don't have those mid-range cuts? But when we listen to solo, it sounds like it's very muddy. I hope that opened your eyes to this common misconception that we always need to clean up and remove any of the mid-range that's in our distorted guitars. It's all about perspective and understanding that us as human beings, we have biases, we lose perspective, and we really need to do a good job of being aware that if we're in solo for too long, our ability to remember what a good sounding guitar tone needs to be to make the mix feel full gets completely distorted in as little as 10 seconds. Lean on your references to make sure that you're not going too far in one direction. And also, make sure that you're mixing in context of your song when you want to make those final adjustments to really make that mix pop. By all means, EQing and making adjustments in solo has its place. It's really good for getting an initial guitar tone or getting a starting point. But once you have the basic pieces and fundamental built on your mix, that's when we need to start doing most of our mixing in the context of the song. Sometimes removing a single element like a vocal from the mix allows us to really focus on those frequency balances. So be sure to experiment with that. Let me know in the comments if you make this common mistake and if you've always wondered why your guitars sound hollow or they don't sound like they have any power when you listen to them in your car or other playback systems. The more and more I mix music, the more I realize how important that mid-range is in making your songs sound really professional. It's so easy to make this mistake. I want to remind you that I have that free downloadable rock and metal mixing cheat sheet that you can go and grab in the description, so go and do that. If you thought this was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos. If you feel like supporting me, I do have a YouTube membership you can join. It's the little join button down below. You're going to get access to a vocal mixing workshop and some other exclusive videos, posts, and it allows you to interact with me more directly. It also is just a really nice way to say thank you for all the content I put out over the years. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. My name is Bobby Balo. I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Rayton Productions, and I'll see you in another video.